Good evening, YouTube. It is December the 23rd. I thought I should put up a video because I keep putting up these videos about how I have rapture dreams that involve Christmas. And I keep feeling like, like I won't be here after tomorrow or the next day. And some people have said that I'm prophesying falsely and stuff like that. And of course, that can't be true. You can't prophesy falsely if you don't prophesy at all. I haven't said that I'm positive this is going to happen. And I've repeated over and over, I said, I've been wrong about things before, but I've also been right about a lot of things. So I won't discount the feeling that I have when I pray about this, but on the other hand, I won't go out and tell people, run up your credit card bills and say something nasty to your boss and quit your job because the rapture's tomorrow. I wouldn't say a thing like that. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. The thing is, if it's going to happen, it doesn't depend on my faith or what I say. If it's going to happen or if it's not going to happen, that's a major, major event. It's not based on what one man thinks or believes or says. But it's an interesting time. It's very interesting. I had this remarkable thought yesterday, I think it was. I was thinking about the COVID era, I guess you would call it. Finally, we've settled on a name for this thing. We called it coronavirus, and we called it COVID-19, and the China flu, and the Kung flu, and now we call it COVID, and I guess we settled on that. I was thinking about what a strange time it's been, because I had one personal tragedy during this period, but other than that, this has been a wonderful time in my life. It's been extremely peaceful. I've done things that I've enjoyed. My relationship with God has improved so much. I haven't lacked for anything. No debt. Health has been good. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful year for me, apart from something bad that happened to someone else. Didn't happen to me. And I was thinking about it yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, and I was thinking about Christmas and how I used to go home for the holidays to Kentucky to my grandparents' house, and how I felt about that, and what a great place it was for me at that time. I was there with my cousins, and so we'd arrive at different times. My grandfather had 4 daughters, and some lived close and some didn't, and some of us would stay in the house, and people would arrive at different times, and you'd be waiting for this family to arrive or that family to arrive. The first time you knew it would be the first time you would see somebody that you hadn't seen in 6 months or a year. And it was exciting. People would sleep on the couch, and people would take different bedrooms. And there were certain foods we looked forward to having. Today I made fried apple pies. I dried apples, and I made fried apple pies, something my grandma used to make and my aunt used to make. Mine need a little bit of work, but still it was a reminder of those times. I felt much more at home in Kentucky than I ever felt in my actual home in Miami. You're going to have to excuse me. I'm making a cheesecake, and the oven just went off, but I'll be right back. I have returned. My cheesecake looks wonderful. As far as I know, I make the best cheesecake on the face of the earth. I've never seen anything to compete with it. There's 2 things I make really, really well. One is cheesecake, and the other is Sicilian-style pizza. Never seen their equal. Other things, could use some work. So I have guests coming tomorrow, and we're going to have prime rib, which is really easy to make, and scallop potatoes, or potatoes au gratin, whatever it is, potatoes with cheese, whatever you want to call that, and my cheesecake, and it should be wonderful. So what was I talking about? I was talking about how I thought about how I felt when I was going back to this place that I considered home, my grandparents' house, and getting together with my family, people that I missed and so forth, my cousins and aunts and uncles. And I thought about the way I felt this year during this time of peace and doing things that I enjoy and having a wonderful prayer life. And I thought what this year has felt like it's been like the lead up to a holiday. It has been like the month of December, except it's been a year. And, if you're an American, you ought to know what I'm talking about. When December 1st rolls around, pretty much when Thanksgiving rolls around, things change here. And the closer you get to Christmas, the more that change becomes evident. Suddenly it becomes, it gets hard to get a plumber. It becomes hard to start a project, or there's something you need to do in your business or your personal life. You put that off until January. I mean, a lot of things you're going to put off. It's tough to get anything done in December. What do you do during December? You go to parties, you get fat, and you look forward to the culmination. You look forward to the big day, which is Christmas Day, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That's what this year has been like for me. I felt like I was staying home from school the whole year. I felt like I was on vacation. I actually have a little bit of sciatica now. See, it looks like it's going away, really, really going away over the last day. First time in my life I've ever had this. I had this pain in my rear end and my thigh and my calf, and it seems like it's just really starting to vanish today. It's been bugging me for several weeks. And I think I got it from sitting on my rear end all year because there was so much leisure time. A lot of people didn't enjoy the leisure time that they had because it was forced on them, and they lost income because of it, and their social lives were impacted and so on. But I'm kind of a reclusive person anyway, and even though that's true, I've had about the same number of visits and interactions this year that I had the year before, and I've enjoyed them a lot. I have good friends, and they come and they stay here. I got this big house, and I put them in my bedrooms, and they stay for a couple of days. Maybe I cook for them. We go out and shoot by the berm and do stuff. Anyway, I think a lot of this year, I've been too inactive because it's just been like a year of rest for me. And I think if people see this video, people from New York and from Boston and I don't know, name a liberal city. If they see me saying these things, people from Portland, I think it would make them even more angry than they are now, which is saying something. Because they hate this year. They think this year is the thing that ruined their lives. They think the year itself is the problem. I saw somebody the other day, a YouTuber, and it wasn't as far as I know a liberal YouTuber, because it's a guy who talks about military tactics and stuff. I don't have any interest in that stuff, but he talks about firearms, guns, stuff that is of interest to me. So there's kind of an overlap there, and he's funny. Anyway, he was saying something like how we just need to get through this year, and everything's going to be all right. And I thought, why is he saying that? That's not true. Everything's not going to be all right. Things are going to get worse next year. One would expect that the vaccine is going to come out and that it ought to work moderately well. And if that happens, sooner or later, we're going to stop panicking over this disease. We've overblown it tremendously. If you look at the statistics, the death rate is minuscule. I know people hate to hear that, but in a country of 350,000 people, 350 million people, whatever it is. New York City in a good year loses over 150 people every day. You have to put things in perspective. When you're talking about 350 more or less million people, including the illegals, maybe it's a little more when you include them. What we've gone through has not been the catastrophe that everybody is trying to make it seem like. I saw a guy analyzing statistics on YouTube the other day, and not on YouTube, it was a lady from Johns Hopkins. I'm wrong about that. A lady from Johns Hopkins put up an article, and she got in trouble for this apparently. She showed that the overall death rate, even for old people who are being hit really hard by COVID compared to the rest of us, had not been significantly impacted. If you tell people that, they'll say, well, I know this guy, I know that guy, or they'll say 200,000 people died, or, they'll cite some big number. But because they're not mathematically inclined, they can't understand what 350 million people, they can't understand what that means. And they don't understand what a real plague is like. There have been real plagues, I've said this before, that have killed 40-50% of the people that got them. There are plagues out there that are 90% fatal that fortunately we've contained. Read about smallpox someday if you want to read about a plague. Boy, that was nasty. People died. They felt like they were on fire. Their entire bodies were covered with sores, and every time they moved, they felt like they were in flames. I don't know. Where am I going with this? We've overblown this thing. And sooner or later, we're going to realize that. Eventually, the public is going to stop listening to the leftist politicians and the people in the press and actors and actresses. People who aren't really, quite honestly, very smart. They've been pushing this nonsense about what a horrible plague this is because it makes conservatives look bad. It helps them extend the government's control over our lives. But sooner or later, you would think a certain amount of common sense would come in and people would say, it's just not that bad. And now we have a vaccine and it's going away and it's being minimized. I don't know. One hopes that it will go away. But nonetheless, things aren't going to change on January the 1st. It's not going to happen. And yet, people have this idea that 2020 is cursed. They don't realize that the curses in their lives come from themselves. You create your own curses. Now, I'm not saying that every bad thing that happens to every person is their fault. Obviously, if you're a year old, or you're mentally retarded, or you're in a coma and something bad happens to you, you can't really necessarily pin that on you. But I'm saying, as a general rule, our curses come from ourselves. We bring curses on ourselves. We don't listen to God. We don't believe in the Holy Spirit. We don't have any interest in confession or redemption. We want to decide what's permissible and what's not permissible. We want to pursue the life of the flesh. And when you do those things, well, you get cursed and problems happen. And the way out of curses is to get close to God because He is a fountain, a spring of blessing. That's all He is. He's just like a geyser of blessing that never stops. So people are blaming the year and they're saying, why are all these bad things happening to me when I'm such a great person? And they don't realize it's because they're not right with God. They're not. The best person in the universe wants to get to know them and wants to show them what He is and what He will do for them. He wants to hold them close and make them His children. And they're just not interested because they're deceived. Anyway, the fact that this year has been so much like December, it just reinforces what I've been feeling about how the rapture, it would make sense if the rapture came this week. Well, I'm doing what a lot of people won't do. A lot of people, when they predict something, they predict it retroactively. They'll get a feeling that something's going to happen, and then they'll keep quiet, and then after it happens, they'll say, I predicted it. And of course, no one believes them. It takes a little bit more guts to come out in advance, knowing you could be wrong, and talk about these things. But that's what I'm going to do. And if I'm wrong, well, I'll just get over it. I'll just say, I made a mistake, I misinterpreted something. Hope nobody planned their future around what I said, unless they got some kind of independent confirmation. I've had this feeling all year that it didn't matter what I did. I had this feeling that I could spend whatever I wanted to spend, that I could let a lot of my responsibilities go if I wanted, that it would never matter. There are things that I would like to take care of, that I would like to buy, that I would like to do, repairs to my driveway, various things. And I just have this feeling that they don't matter because I'm not going to be here. I'm putting these things off until after December 25th. and actually after the first. I mean, until at least the first. I'm putting these things off until at least the first, because I just feel like it's pointless. I feel like it's pointless to involve myself with them. Why not? If this is the lead up to the rapture, why not enjoy it? Enjoy my time with God. Enjoy doing things I like. Enjoy communicating with people I love. Why don't I do those things instead of going out and trying to take care of my yard's weed problem? Instead of going out and using a foam cannon to clean the screen around my pool. I just feel like I should let everything go. And I've had that feeling. I had it before I had this idea that the rapture would come this year. I've had the weirdest, all my life I've had this feeling, I felt I wish I could live 1,000 years. I always felt that I was created to live 1,000 years. And that was the number that came into my head. It was 1,000. It wasn't 850. It wasn't 312. It was 1,000. I always felt that I would like to live 1,000 years because I had a lot of talents that I wanted to explore. Music, art, writing, math, science. There's so many things I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to spend enough time on them to fulfill my desire to explore them, to get reasonably good at them. I always felt that I was more like an oak tree than a pine tree. A pine tree will grow fast and then fall over, and an oak will grow and live for, I don't know how long oaks live actually. I know some of them live for hundreds of years. So that's how I felt. I felt that I was more like an oak than a pine tree, more like a pine tree than a cabbage, which lives one summer. And the strange thing about that, I used to feel that way, and I didn't really know anything about eschatology, the biblical study of the future. I didn't know that there was going to be that there's supposed to be 1,000-year reign where Jesus rules on earth with the people that have followed him, the people that belong to him. Sometimes the Bible is confusing, but as nearly as I can figure it out, it looks like the Bible says that the people who are raptured, at least some of them, will return to the earth and rule with Jesus. And when I learned about that, one of the things that came to mind was how wonderful that would be, because then I would get my 1,000 years. Then I wouldn't have to be in a hurry. It's been really hard for me to get in a hurry in life. Some people are born in a hurry and they get everything done. By the time they're 13, they're in college. And I've never been like that. It's always been hard for me to make myself rush. I'm not married, I don't have kids. I could have gone out and settled. I could have married somebody totally inappropriate, and I could have made choices that would have given me what people think of as advancement. And I just didn't feel that it was in me. And I'll tell you something else. One thing that really has turned out to be reliable in my life is the stream of phrases that God has given me throughout the last few years. He gives me phrases and I write them down, and sometimes it'll be one word and sometimes it'll be a sentence. And one of the phrases he gave me, these things have turned out to be reliable. It's not like this thing where I feel really strongly that the rapture's coming. These things have actually panned out. As far as I know, 100% of the time. I can't think of an example of one not turning out to be reliable. And one of the things he said to me was, "I will not be rushed." And when he said that, he wasn't saying he would not be rushed. He was saying it for me. He was saying, "I will not be rushed." And that's an interesting thing, because if you're a Holy Spirit-led Christian, you know that you are not supposed to be rushed. Hurry and rushing, these things come from Satan. When you're in a hurry, when you're rushed, something's going wrong. When things are going right in your life, you're not in a hurry. Now, I guess there may be exceptions to that. Lot had to rush to get out of Sodom, and the Hebrews had to rush to get out of Egypt. I don't know though. Moses was prepared for that. He knew what was going to happen. He was told in advance. He was prepared. So it's not like he got up in the middle of the night and ran off, which he had done previously. When I don't know if you remember, he murdered a man, and he had to flee Egypt because he found out that other people knew about it. So when that happened, he had to take off. And Elijah had to rush. He made fun of the prophets of Baal. I don't think God wanted him to do that, because immediately afterward, he had to rush and run from Jezebel. He had to run from a woman, which is really a degrading thing for a man of God. As for Lot, well, I don't know. Abraham knew that Sodom would be destroyed, so Lot should have known, even before the angels came to see him. Anyway, the general rule is you should not be rushed. You should not be rushed. And sometimes I think about how other people have gone ahead and done all these things, and they've had grandchildren and so forth, and I haven't. And then I think, well, I will not be rushed. So who's right? Who is right? I had a very interesting experience over the last couple of days. I got a letter from my high school. I don't understand how mass mailing works. I don't understand how people get your address if you don't send it to them. I guess the post office has some kind of service, and if you file a change of address, they just blab it to everybody that wants to chase you around the globe. Anyway, I mean, I don't think it should work that way. I think they should forward the stuff to you, and then you can decide, whether you want to stay in touch. Anyway, my high school sends out fundraising letters. It's a prep school. It's a private school, and they just cannot get enough money. And they sent me one a couple of days ago, and I have learned that you can refuse mail. You can write refused on it. And if you do that, then they have to send it back. And the person who gets it knows it's been refused. So I wrote, refused, please remove from list, because I'm tired of junk mail. I thought to myself, gee, this seems like kind of a cold thing to do. I hope I don't offend anybody over there. And then I thought about it, and I thought, there's not a single person on that campus who knows who I am. That's how old I am. There are people who were born the year I left who have children attending that school. The year I graduated from high school. I mean, so I'll tell you what, I've been here a while, I've been here a while. Well, I guess I'm kind of rambling now. I just wanted to put this video up, and I'm going to do what a lot of people aren't willing to do. I'm just going to stick my neck out and say, I leave my videos up and say, I had this feeling, this very powerful feeling when I prayed that this month was not going to, that the rapture would come before the end of this month. And I had these thoughts about these dreams where I was singing, I'll Be Home for Christmas. And I had a dream where I was singing Together Again, which is about my relationship with God. And other people have said that they've had dreams like mine. And a lady came and commented on one of my videos the other day, and she said either she had been singing I'll Be Home for Christmas or she had dreamed she was singing it. I don't know what. So many people are having the same feeling. I hope it's true. I really hope it's true, because the world is turning into a toilet. It's turning into a locker room, a brothel, a biker bar. That's what it's turning into, a porn theater. And I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. It's bad enough. I don't want to lose my eyesight and go deaf and end up in an assisted living facility and have to wear diapers. There's a lot of. I don't want to get more farsighted than I am now. I'm not really looking forward to old age. And to couple old age with a world that has become completely depraved, in which I am even less welcome than I was already, before everything went sour. That's really not good. That's a prospect that I don't like to think about. So I'm going to be so disappointed if the rapture doesn't come soon. Well, I'm sticking my neck out. I'm not taking anything down, and I'm not going to back up. I'm not going to backpedal. I'm not going to crawfish. I'm not going to white eye. That's what my dad used to say. So either it'll happen or it won't. So tomorrow I have these people coming, and I have prime rib and potatoes and cheesecake, and I hope we'll have a good time. And either I'll come back and make another video, and I'll say sorry, or this will be the last time you see me. Either way, you shouldn't have to have somebody tell you about a dream or a vision in order to try to get close to God. You shouldn't have to be told that the rapture is tomorrow or the next day in order to get excited about God. You need to understand the depth of the deception that we live under. You need to realize the best thing imaginable has been bad-mouthed to you, to where in your heart you think these things are true. You don't understand how good God is, and how much correction and improvement you need, and how much is available, how much power, how much blessing, how much healing. You should be living every day as though the rapture were that afternoon. There's so much blessing in it, so much power, so much help. I don't know what else I can say that would be helpful to you. If this thing does happen, and you make it and I make it, then like I said in my other videos, come up and shake my hand in heaven, say hi, say I saw your video. Especially if you weren't a Christian before you saw my videos. If that's true, I would really like to know. I would really like to see you up there and find out that I accomplished one or two good things while I was down here. So He's available. He's at your side. He's waiting to hear from you. And I hope you do the best thing you possibly can do for yourself and your family. I hope you listen. That's it.